Welcome back to the show. Today we're diving into a serious issues today. As the world watches, President Trump is weighing his next move on Iran amid rising tensions in the Middle East, while chaos unfolds in Paris, where PSG celebrations have spiraled into a night of fires, looting, and violent clashes that continue into the early morning hours. At the same time, a heated debate over climate change has reignited after the president claimed scientists abandoned their own doomsday predictions, insisting their projections were wrong. With global security, public unrest, and the future of climate policy all making headlines at once, are these isolated events or signs of deeper changes shaping the
left it alone because we think that their military is somewhat moderate. They have other people that aren't moderate. We've taken them out. We've taken different forms of leadership out. We've actually left their military alone. People would be surprised to hear that, because mistakes have been made in wars where you wipe out everybody and then you have a country that's, for 40 years can never rebuild.
Trump has said climate scientists have cancelled their own doomsday scenario. Is he right? In a post on Truth Social, he said the United Nations top climate committee just admitted that its own projections were wrong. There is some truth behind that. A different group of climate scientists have just retired their most extreme, worst case climate scenario. But they say it is not because it was wrong.
I think that is really unfair.
So here's what happened. 2010, to try to map out how our climate might change in future, scientists looked at a range of different pathways, from the absolute best case, where we take up clean technology very quickly, cut pollution and hit climate goals, where warming stays low. And then there's the real worst case scenario, the line along the top, meaning if we did nothing at all. So by the year 2100, emissions would have tripled, the world would be 4.5 degrees hotter, and sea levels a metre higher. It led to images like this. But that scenario has always been unlikely, and there has been debate over whether it should exist at all. Some people are suggesting that you were always doom-mongering and alarmist by mapping out this pathway that you yourselves never thought was likely.
Yeah, and I think that is really unfair. We climate scientists have to use scenarios to explore possible futures, and we can't predict the future either. And so that means that we considered several options. What actually happened is that we followed that medium pathway, which meant that we're now in a much worse position than we were in 2010, and because emissions went up, and it will be much more difficult now to meet the climate goals. But we also did not follow that worst case scenario. Over time, climate policy has reduced the cost of renewables, which also helps to readjust our assessment a bit. But did climate scientists get it wrong? No, that is not the case. This scenario simply turned out to be not relevant anymore.
And whilst it's good news they've retired that worst case scenario because they say that we've made progress with climate action, the bad news is they've now also ruled out the best case scenario, and that means we're still headed for warming they say is dangerous, around 2.5 or 3 degrees. And exactly how high that gets, nobody knows at this stage, from the energy we use to what we eat and the way we get around.